Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You caught her in the act. She was
You
drinking
did. I
water.
thought I had a second more.
She's saying it's water, but I don't believe that. But anyway,
Tonight it's water. We'll keep
welcome
you
to
guessing
Open
about the
Mic.
rest.
So I'm your host, Ramsey Chiri. I'm an intuitive healer. Let me just pull back. It's been a heavy week. I'm an intuitive healer, psychic medium. Um, Hit me up at ramseychiri.net for a virtual coffee. We can sit down and chit chat. We have a 15-minute free call. You can do that anytime. Write it down, ramseychiri.net. And this is my co-host, Tanys Coughlin.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Tanys Coughlin from the Twillo Lifestyle Community, Twillo Lifestyle Academy. I am a Reiki Master, Crystal Master, Celtic Shamanic High Priestess, Galactic Ambassador, and a channel. And I'm excited to be with you today. Water and all.
So she says.
Drink your water, guys.
It's been a crazy week.
It has.
It has been a crazy week. And it seems this is a taster of what's coming. I was on a call today with a couple of people. One of them was an astrologer, and we should talk to Michelle Marie about this. Is that we're moving into I can't repeat it. I should maybe just pull back and say we're heading into something big. Something about Pisces. We're moving into Pisces. The next 80 days is going to be
Yes.
massive energy movement around the globe. And the last time this happened, it was like in the 1700s or something, and there were wars and stuff like that at that time. So, yeah, something like that. Don't take my word for it. Please Google it because I really can't retain all the information. So I tried to move them as much as possible, but all I knew is that we're moving into Pisces, and for the next 80 days, it's gonna start to change. There's a lot of change happening. And I think it starts in March, so it's coming very, very soon. So this is the if you want it, the pre-energy movement of the movement. So you know more about that, Tanys. Go ahead.
I do. I just want to say a quick hello to Tarot Stash. Hello, Gerald. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any insights on what's to come, please let us know. Please check out his channel at Tarot Stash on all the big social media stuff. He's awesome. Okay, so in terms of energy this week, let me see. We had a bunch of solar storms, which spit out some, radiation and plasma and all that yummy stuff at the Earth, and it bumps our vibration, and we feel off kilter. So we've had some of the biggest storms. We had X is the biggest classification of solar storms, and we had one that was an X2. So one of the biggest ones they've kind of ever had this past week. I think it was the 17th. So a week and a half now. And it hit us probably on the 20th. It usually takes 2-3 days to get there. So we are still feeling the aftermath of that. We also had it hit on a new moon. So that just created even more. So the end of this week has been a little better than last weekend. However, I don't know about you, but everybody I talk to is tired. Everybody's tired. I think it's the aftermath of all of that stuff in terms of just how our bodies are reacting to that. So when we have a whole lot of light coming in, bring in all this light, all the density that we've pushed down for years, all of our fears and all of that stuff, it has nowhere to go because, the light wants to shine light on it. And so it comes up and creates these beautiful triggers, which I believe is what we're talking about tonight.
Yep. The triggers. Triggers, it's like, what do you call them? Little shoots that sprouts in spring. It's like, tick, 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 they're everywhere. So what are they? Let's start with what are they? They're very interesting little voids or trauma that sits within our psyche, We hold it, we cradle it, we nurture it, we cover it, and we put a button on it. And that's what's called press my buttons. So,
Pushing my buttons.
so every time you push a button, there's a thing that goes inside, stirs that little thing that comes in, and that is sitting in there, and poof, it comes out. Hi,
Hi, Michael. Nice
I'm
to see you. You needed rest too. Yep. Indeed. Indeed.
let's see, what is it? During the fire grid period, thankfully, yes.
Yep. Fire the grid. That's talking about firing the grid of the Earth. So.
So I thank you.
And you should check out his site. He's got Beyond Being Human. I'm involved with Michael's group there a fair bit these days. So check out Beyond Being Human. It's awesome.
If you can put that the link over here, I'll share it, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
No.
He started a community. I'm actually one of his flight crew. So we're just in the process of sorting that out. Mm-hmm. There we go. Thank you.
Beyondbeinghuman.org. So
Mm-hmm.
please visit them. And I'll definitely visit. I think I did visit that. I saw it on your Facebook somewhere. I've been there.
It's awesome.
Thank you for joining us. So back to our wonderful tricker. Sorry, you were saying?
Gerald, if you're still on, you're welcome to put on yours as well, if you like.
I didn't see him. How did you see him?
Gerald?
Yeah.
Oh, he's paired with mine on YouTube. He's on my YouTube. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, please subscribe to the newsletter too and become a member if you like. I'm a member.
I will definitely do that, Michael. Thank you.
You're on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I just said. I'm just putting the link one more time.
Yep.
Oh.
There he is.
Here he is. Thank you for joining us. I'm actually following him on Facebook also. They have amazing stuff and tarot cards and all kinds.
There we go.
Here
awesome.
Is Tarot Stash on YouTube.
Two awesome guys. Check out their stuff, guys. It's awesome. I know I use that word way too many times. It's about triggers today, right?
Yes. So we were talking about that void and putting it a button on top of it, and then every time you push the button, it's like putting a blender with all the stuff in it with the liquid, and don't put a cover, and you just press the button.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens. Hell breaks loose. I think it's a beautiful visual when
yes. I'm picturing
on the
strawberry protein shake going everywhere. Yeah.
I'm sure it happened to you because you were looking at the ceiling. So yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Learned that lesson. I believe it was tomato sauce, actually. I don't recommend it. Yes. So triggers, they are when we react instead of respond.
Yes.
That would be what I would say.
So yes. So we need to cover it, but covering it is a metaphor within the blender thing, but actually you can't mask it. Yeah. What you need to do is to release it. Yeah. I know as humans we hold on to things for years and years to come, and we try not to forget. We try not to forget it because we want to hold on to it forever and ever. But the thing is, it doesn't change anything. I don't think it ever changed anything. We hold things like kids, like, oh my God, my identity is
mine. It's mine. Yeah. We don't need to do that, guys.
No, we don't need that.
Although we all do it. So I do want to preface that by saying, you know what, we're all human. And that's kind of part of what we do. The healing journey is about releasing it in a more measured or controlled way, I guess, right? It's about, putting your finger into those things, pressing the button, but doing it slowly and going, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Hi, Christine. Welcome.
So what was I trying to say is we have a lot of triggers.
Mhm.
Some we actually know about because we're facing with that on a daily basis, and some we don't know about, but they just surface every now and then. Now and then it could be every 2 3 years, it doesn't matter, but they're there, they're sitting there, they're sitting in the psyche. And from an energetic point of view, there are disruptants that's sitting all around us.
Mhm.
Usually when I do a reading with somebody, I can see exactly what they're feeling and how they're feeling it, and what they believe in, and it all sits in the psyche around us. So it's not hidden. Actually, it's very visible to everybody around except us.
Yeah. And that's where the, self reflection is super important. We wouldn't eat unless you are actually sitting down after you have a reaction, right? You lose it on for some reason. And it's not usually the initial thing that you're losing it on either, right? There's usually a root cause,
It
right?
is what they call the mirror effect.
Hmm.
The mirror effect is that when we see it in others,
Yeah.
we see it in others, and then we judge others for not fixing their problem. But the reality is, it's our, and we can only see it through others. It's like,
Yeah.
look at it this way: you can't see your eye, and you can't hear your ear. You can't.
It's
It's
hard
impossible.
for sure. Yeah.
The only way you see your eye, if there's something wrong with it. You have
Yeah.
spots, you're squinting, you start to realize that there's something over there. There's a mechanism that's not working. That's when you see it. So there's something wrong. When it's wrong, you can see it. Otherwise, you
Mhm.
can't. It's hidden.
Yeah.
It's hidden. So, oh, and another thing, I just remembered. So someone was worried about their dog, and I just want to talk about it because I think it would help the person if they hear it. Um, they feel guilty for leaving their dog and doing their job. And this attachment to the dog is an actual, uh, it's a kind of a band aid for something deeper.
Hmm.
So the trigger is um, um, uh, when I leave, I feel guilty. Then there's a trigger in there, although that's not a trigger towards something on the external side, but it's trigger on the internal side. It's like, it's me. I feel pain. I feel this. I feel that. So the attachment, and any attachment, is a trigger sitting in there that we try to mask it through something else.
Yeah. And sometimes we mask it through doing things that aren't so good for us, right?
That too. That too.
I
Yes,
don't know why that
absolutely.
came to mind, but it came to mind. So sometimes we do these, self defeating things to try and mask things,
Like drinking.
like drinking. Yes.
Now, this is tea.
This is water. Just saying.
Sure.
Waters, water and tea are fine. We're talking alcohol. Yeah.
Michelle posted a link. Feel free to put a promo for this in the group too.
Thank you.
Beyond Being Human
That's
Media. Okay. We'll put that. Thank you, Michael. Sorry, I said
yeah.
Michelle. My apologies.
He's from Montreal. It's okay.
No, for some reason, Michelle Marie came to mind, and I don't know why. And when I saw his name, I thought of her, and I go, "Oh, Michelle."
Yeah. Maybe because you were talking about the dog.
About the dog.
Lost your dog.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So what we need to do, and this I was telling someone.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. And I did that to one of my clients, and I said, okay, fine. This is what I need you to do. Okay, just go, live your day. Don't think about anything. When someone irritates you, stop and look at yourself. What is it in you that got irritated?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And he started doing that. And within a week, he came back and realizing that, oh my God, I have this issue. And I thought it was amazing. Like he was able to discover it in only 1 week. It didn't take hours and hours at a psychologist. It's just being aware of who you are in every situation.
Yeah.
When you walk in, what do you bring with you? Your irritants first. They come in first, and then half an hour later, it depends on the
My
person.
luggage.
And then you walk in, and when something, and I just want to mention one thing. They're energy balls, so they resonate. Everything resonates together. So if there's something that is resonating at a lower frequency within you, and it gets close to something with the same frequency from somebody else, that one is gonna start going crazy. It's like, no, I can't handle it. Let me start itching somewhere, or make the person uncomfortable to
Mhm.
realize that there's something there that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
So, from your perspective, Tanys, how would you assist people to find their irritants or to overcome their triggers? That's what they are. They're irritants at the end of the day.
They are.
There's something that it's like a little pebble that sits in your socks.
Yeah.
Especially in winter, it was driving me crazy. 'Cause- and
You
I'm
did have
walking
a
around
rough week if you had a pebble in your sock.
and I couldn't stop. Like there's ice and snow outside, and there's this little tiny thing that is just going ding ding. Anyways,
So
so
frustrating. So for my clients, usually what I end up doing is, I'll ask them when the last time they were triggered, meaning had some kind of an emotional thing come up for them. Okay. So I always use the example of traffic. They get triggered in traffic. People have road rage and stuff. So what I'll encourage them to do then is I'm going to ask them the 5 whys, and you can do this yourself. Ask why. So why did I get triggered in traffic? Because I'm going to be late. Okay, why does it matter if you're going to be late? Because the people at the other end are going to be mad at me. Why does it matter if they're mad at you? Well, they might not want to be my friend. Why does it matter if they're not your friend? Well, I don't want to be alone. Oh, so why does it matter if you're alone? Because we have a base fear of abandonment. And so that's the trigger. So then I usually will ask them to look back at the first time that they remember feeling abandoned. Oftentimes with that one, of course, it's parent. And then I'll usually have them do the Ho'oponopono on that parent. So I'll have them sit, close their eyes, visualize the parent, and then repeat, usually after me to start. And I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And we'll repeat that. Because actually when you start that process, when we come to the point that we feel it's apparent that we need to do some healing work on, I'll ask them to feel into their body. And you can actually feel where that dense ball is that you were talking about in your body when you are holding on to something. So oftentimes it's like a heart thing if it's a parent, or a solar plexus thing. So it's either, love related or self-esteem related when it's in that kind of stuff. And we end up, as we say, the Ho'oponopono over and over again, all of my clients have noticed that it starts to dissipate that energy. So that's how we start to move the energy through a little bit more, so that we're not being as triggered. So the more we can do that, every time we can deal with something like that and take that little ball of energy and get rid of it, that will no longer be as strong a trigger. So we might have abandonment issues with something else in a different situation as well. But as we work our way through that, that's kind of how we end up doing the healing work, until it's like you start to have this, it's almost like you start like this and you start to open things up a little bit, and you start to see things a little bit brighter, because you're getting rid of all these balls of energy all over. So
that's a good way of doing it, of describing it, because that's what I also went through. Is when I walk into a room, when I used to walk into a room, the negative vibration that I bring in is visible to everybody. I noticed that on my last trip. I was in India, and there were negative vibration, because you get into the airports and there are hundreds and hundreds of people over there, and you're bound to be, to pass by someone who's in that state. Okay, and it's like, something just doesn't feel right, and it did not feel right. And I was at Pearson Airport, and it's twice, so I had to move away and go find a secluded place and just sit there until my flight was called. The boarding was called. Um, Same thing happened when I was at the hotel. Again, you feel people. You're having breakfast and there's like 100 people in the restaurant. I was like, no, I don't feel right. So what I try to do is like be there. They open up at 6. At 5 to 6, I'm at the door. Not that because I'm hungry. It's just I want to have my coffee in peace and quiet before anybody walks in. Because by the time people start walking in, I want to be the first person to be walking out while they're walking in, so I don't have to deal with other people's energy. But it's very visible, because once you start clearing, like Tanys was mentioning, it starts to open. And what that does, it actually gives you uh, a broader vision, not only of the things that are happening around you, but the unmanifested being around. Like you would feel your spirit guide. You'll feel the nudge to move into a certain direction. You can be yourself and then just move with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. And what's stopping most of us, it's not because we don't have the gift. Nobody has a gift. We all have it. It's a sense that we actually, it's not covered, but masked with silliness. That's what I call it, in my
We
opinion.
kind of squash it, right? Because we have limiting beliefs. We
Yeah.
think there's only a few of us that can do this, and that's not the case, right? It's around us all the time, all of this stuff. I just taught a class today actually on the dimensions,
Yeah.
and how, everything is in the spectrum, and we're just in that the visible spectrum of light and energy. And that's what everything that we see on a regular basis, that's in that visual spectrum. And then as we start to open up and we do our healing work, our vibration raises. So all of a sudden we can see more in the different spectrums. And so that's what he means when he says it's visible. The energy is visible, because the energy can be visible if you start to do this opening up business, and we start to raise our vibrations, and we start to be able to tap into that a little bit more. So it doesn't mean that everybody can see it right now, and not everybody has that as a strength, seeing energy, but it is there for us to see. And so are the guides, by the way. They're all around you, all around you. They always have been, so nothing's changed. Don't start freaking out. They've always been there. We just are starting as the vibration is raising. So we have all these solar storms coming in, right? Putting all this light in the earth. It starts to raise everybody's vibration. And so, I think a big part of you and I, Ramsey, our role is to really reduce the fear around that, because it's there, and it's no different from going to the mall. I mean, we've said this numerous times on here. You know, when we have we talk about being mediums and stuff, and the ghosts. And
The
ghosts,
Ghostbusters.
you don't need to be scared of the ghosts, right? Because it's no scarier than going to the mall. But but that's they're in that other, outside of that realm of what our regular visual range is. So that's what we're referring to when we say we can start to feel the energy, and it's acting on us all the time. And so when we walk into a room where there's negative energy, we might not even consciously realize it, but we will likely be feeling it, and we'll likely be having some kind of a manifestation. So a lot of people will say, you know, I was fine, and then I walked into the room and I just felt so heavy, and then I got angry. And I'm like, okay, that's not yours. Put it down. Because we don't need to carry other people's stuff, right? But it's there. So we do feel that kind of thing. And that's where some of the tubing techniques and stuff that we use in energy management to try and manage how we're feeling. And if we tend to be very sensitive, where we've started to open those senses up a little bit more, then we sort of need to learn how to do that energy management piece. And you know, whether it's timing, like Ramsey, or doing an energetic tube that I bring in, which is what I do, you know, you start to manage your energy differently. And it makes a huge difference, folks. Huge difference.
Massive, actually, because you're not exposed
Mm-hmm.
to the negative vibrations anymore. It's not you're not exposed. You are exposed, but with the shield on.
Right.
If you want to put it this way, with the shield on, yeah, exactly. Energy
Yeah.
management is very important. So
Yeah.
you put your shield on, and that kind of protects you from the negativity that is taking place around you. And if you notice, there are people where it always happens to them, always. And that's not about luck, bad luck, or whatever it is. It's just they attract it. They attract it because they're resonating at the same frequency. And to get out of it, you have to change your frequency. And to change your frequency, you need to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And like you've heard, the work is very simple. It's simple. It's
Oh,
not.
but not always easy.
It's not rocket science. I assist someone. Um, I asked her last time, "Are you willing to go to the dark side? Are you willing to to dig deep into your psyche and clear it?" And the first answer was, "No, I'm not ready." And I put that question twice. And the answer I get, "I am not ready." I said, "That's fine. You are not ready. Then the path you are taking is the path you are taking, and you will arrive there like everybody else. We're going to arrive one day. So you have the fast lane, you have the slow lane. But at the end of the day, you're going to get there when you're ready to get there. And that's the end of it.
Mhm.
So as long as you're doing something, as long as you're evaluating your reactions to something and healing that part with the whole Ho'oponopono that Tanis just mentioned, the negative vibrations within your psyche starts to reduce. And the lesser they are, you attract more positive energy into your field. You start to radiate more. You're happier. First of all, you're happier. People can see that. For heaven's sake, people can see that quickly. Oh my God, what you've done to your face. Nothing. It's not my face. It's just, I'm happy. I found myself. Because, by the way, when somebody says, I found myself, that is like the ultimate, the ultimate human goal is to find yourself again. Because that's where the center of love lies. And that's where it starts to radiate. And the only reason we lose ourselves is because of the ickiness that we start putting around it. And then we kill that little child within.
That spark.
It doesn't die. It just sits on the side because we don't want casualties in our.
Like, okay, we're going to put you down here, just in this corner, so that you don't get hurt by all this programming that's coming in. Yep, by all of society telling us we can and can't, and should and shouldn't.
Yeah. So, and the news is okay. Bad news sells. We knew that from a long time ago. Okay.
Yep.
Good news does not sell because it's boring. Who's gonna go to watch a 2-hour movie about a big boat that sails from England to Northern America and arrives safely, and everybody's happy? No one. But the minute that boat hits an iceberg and 1,000 people dies, we all ran to watch the movie.
Mm.
Because there's something in it. There's a heroic thing that took place. There's good deeds that happened. People saved each other, sacrificed themselves in order to help others. So we're all interested in that. We're drawn to that. But it was like a boring thing. Oh yeah, they arrived. So that was a 2-minute movie.
Thanks
Nope.
for coming, Gerald. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Have a great night.
So yes, where was I going with the Titanic?
You were saying that the negative stuff sells.
Yes. So
Negative news sells.
as I turn on the TV, don't listen to the news. Because news is a bunch of words. And words are spells. And spells direct you in the direction that entity wants you to go. So if I tell you go right and the other news tells you go left, so we have two factions, one right, one left, and we can't see each other anymore because now we're triggered by your rightness and your leftness. That's another trigger. And anything you do irritates the other person, the opposing person. And we're coming to a place where we lose our compassion and love for others, which means we lose that compassion and love for ourselves. And if we can't find it for us, how can we find it into others?
Yeah.
So triggers are not only little irritants that sits within you, they're the driver of your life. They
So they play a positive role too, in a sense, right? Because triggers really, it brings the stuff up that we need to look at. Right. I know our friend Jen says this a lot. She's like, they're signposts, right? They come up and they're like, hey, pay attention to me. Hey. Sometimes it's tough, but they're, when it's a trigger, we put the value on it, whether it's good or bad. Right?
Yes.
We have a reaction and we think that the emotion is a bad emotion, but it doesn't need to be seen as a bad emotion. If I cry, I don't see it as bad. Everyone around me sees it as bad because they're programmed to think that. For me, I think it's awesome. I'm releasing energy. Right? I'm like clearing something. Awesome. Let's do it.
I like the signpost one. If you use it as a signpost to heal, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
If you ignore it and blame the other for that obstacle in your road, then it becomes an additional layer of negative vibrations that sits within you.
Yeah.
And yes, you can take it into a positiveness, which is great. That's an awesome example. But you have to have an open mind, because at the end of the day, no, this is a bad joke. I'm not going to go there.
Uh-oh.
But at the end of the day, it is how we see things, not how things are, because they are what they are based on our programming and triggers. What I see and what you see are totally different. And
Yeah.
when it's you, it's not only Tannis, but everybody who's listening to this right now, they're different.
Yeah. Our perception is our reality.
Yes.
And that's that's how we view the world. So the triggers are an indicator. Do you want to view the world this way? I reacted to X, Y, and Z. Do I want to view X, Y, and Z that way? So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the questions, right? It's
Yeah.
not just about, oh my gosh, I reacted. I need to release the energy, but it's also about, is this how you want to react? If
Yes.
it is, then that's the person that's not ready, right?
Yeah.
If it's not how they want to react and they don't like how they feel after it and they feel bad because they've, all over somebody, then that's when they might want to change how they react. At
And
least if you can work on the triggers, it takes you from that reaction, that like split second decision about what, like not even really making a decision. It's like you react is without a decision. If you can do some of the healing work and the reflection, it puts you in a position where you can take that breath and go, okay, I don't really like this. How am I going to respond?
mm-hmm.
So it gives you that space to breathe. And that's why we do the healing work.
Yeah.
To allow ourselves to consciously make a decision about how we want to behave. It doesn't mean we're going to be what society says is perfect, right? Because just because they say it's perfect doesn't mean it's perfect for us.
Yeah.
But it means that we can make a conscious decision and sit in our authenticity with the decision in the end and be comfortable. And if we're not, then we know we change our approach next time.
Yeah.
Because we're human. We make mistakes all the time.
Maybe you, but we
Hmm.
all we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. At the end of the day, that's what makes us human, and that's the beauty of it all. If you do not make mistakes, you have a bad day in general, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to make sure that everything is aligned and proper.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into the woods, into a forest, what you see is not a manicured, what do you call it, park.
Yeah.
Nothing is properly aligned. There's no 90-degree angles.
Right.
There's no green grass that is cut properly. There are trees that are growing. Everything is growing on top of each other. One tree would fall, it will die. Out of the death of that tree, life comes out, nutrients comes out into the what do you call it, into the land. The land sends some extra nutrients into the water that is passing by. That takes it into the fish, and everything, a biodiversity thing, works together, cohesive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But having a perfect manicured grass requires a lot of what do you call it?
Work.
It's not interference, but assistance from us to fertilize
Yeah.
the soil, to make sure it's not dead after a while, because you only have grass, and you're cutting it and putting it in a bag and sending it, shipping it somewhere, and there's nothing to feed the soil anymore. And if you look at soils in the Amazon, if you've seen those pictures about what do you call it, deforestation, you
Mm.
look at the ground and it is brown. It's filled with nutrients. And then you look at another picture, which is like not far from there, that they've like cleared it a year ago. The color becomes lighter,
Yeah.
and with time it becomes more lighter, because it's whatever nutrients that was there is gone. and it's not getting replenished.
Yeah.
So we
So
need
how do
those.
we replenish us?
Pardon?
How do we replenish us?
Us?
Yes.
Uh, there are multiple ways to replenish us. One, we have to, like we said, don't react. Don't. Okay, let me pull back. It's not do not react. Figure out what is the trigger that is making you react and heal it.
Mhm.
Because if you don't react, it means that you're forcing yourself not to say something while keeping the pain lying underneath. Heal the pain. That's number one. After you finish the clearing, which will never finish, but with time it becomes less and less, there are multiple ways. And one of them is meditation.
Mhm.
Center yourself. Go back in. Figure out who you are. Sit in silence without the TV. And what I mean meditation, please, it's not a sitting in a lotus position and doing all of these funny stuff, and then I can't sit straight.
And bring my crystal friends to
Or
meditation.
you can bring your crystal friends, um, or you can sit with a picture that you like. It doesn't have to be Ram and I can't remember her name. Gods from India, the Hindu gods, or having Ganesh, I think is he, or Hanuman. Hanuman is sitting there. So you don't need to have this. You can have a picture of a tree
Mhm.
or whatever it is that you like, and just meditate on it, or go to a museum.
Mhm.
You know, sit in front of a painting, and one of those massive paintings, and lose yourself in it. It's a meditative state
It is. It is.
that calms you. And when your vibration starts to slow down, guess what? Clarity kicks in. And clarity helps you heal even further. The more you have, the more will be given to you. The less you have, the more will be taken away from you. If you're going to vibrate in a negative way and continue the negative path, you'll ex, expo, exponentially increase that.
Yeah.
And
And
you
so
lose the peaceness.
so we can adjust our frequency fairly easily, right? Because just having a negative thought brings it down by 12 megahertz. Having a positive thought brings it up by 10. So just think a whole lot of positive thoughts,
Yeah.
right? Meditation brings it up by 15 to 25. So doing the meditation, right? Get in and do that stuff. That's going to help you to bring it up, and you're going to start to attract what you want to attract.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So when you have a trigger, you're not really having positive thoughts around a trigger. So that's why we work on the triggers, so that we can release them in a controlled way, so that we're not having those negative thoughts. Because you know how they are, right? You have a negative thought, and then it ruminates, and you feel bad, and your vibration goes lower, and it's like a downward spiral that you get into. So if you can stop that spiral by doing techniques like the Ho'oponopono, or like tapping into essential oil medicine or plant medicine to lift that vibration. Sometimes we need support. Crystals, right? To support us during those spirals, because sometimes we can't get out of it. So we need to nip it in the bud, right? Or you call a friend, right? Have a
Yeah.
have a conversation with them, let them know you're not feeling well, and then try and switch how you're feeling.
Or hit that link over here and at Tanys's, have that 15-minute call.
Yeah,
It's
we both
free.
have those. Hmm.
It's free. Allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, but don't let it take over you.
Right.
And that's the key. We all need to feel. We all need to feel the pain. We all need to feel all kinds of emotions. But as long as we don't allow them to overtake our lives, We're good.
Feel it, don't live it.
Yes.
There's the hashtag for today. Gerald's gone, but there's the hashtag for today. he likes to put the hashtags in.
What's that? Live it, don't feel it?
Feel it, don't live it.
I feel it. Yeah.
Or feel it, don't dwell it. Dwell in it.
Feel it, don't live it. There you go. That's a hashtag for
There we
tonight.
go. How do you deal with clients that are triggered and take it out on you? Do you continue service with them? Do you ask them to move along? I've never had anyone take it out on me, to be honest. But I don't take it on as mine because it's not mine. That's their stuff. Right? If they're upset and triggered in the moment, that's their stuff. I give them a moment to calm. I would give them a moment. I haven't actually had anybody take it out on me, so I don't know. That's not been my experience, but I've certainly had them cry, but not take it out on me. And if they start to cry, I give them a moment. I hold space. I might get them water. Right? That's where we care for each other. That's what humans are here to do. We're here to care for each other. So how do you care for somebody? It's the same with, clients with Alzheimer's and stuff. Sometimes they can get a little bit rambunctious. You want to make sure they're safe. You hold space. If it needs to be from a distance while they work out their stuff, it is. Making sure you're both safe. It would be the same thing, I would say.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
It's not yours. It's not yours to take. It's not yours to be triggered by.
Mm-mm.
And if it actually triggered you, there's something for you to deal with.
Well, and I have to say that, that's the beauty of doing the healing work that we do. Because I'll often be getting messages for my clients and they'll be like, you need to look at that too. And I'm like, yes, okay. Not now. But that's, we do have our own triggers that come up during sessions.
Mm-hmm.
But I acknowledged it as a trigger and I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with that later because I need to be here for this person. I'm holding space for this person. That's what I do, right? That's what we do as practitioners. We hold space. We send love and light. I think I've only had one person, if that. No, I did get her calmed down. I was going to say, I think I'd only had one person that I remember who left here very, very triggered. But, there was other issues there. And I'm not a trained psychologist. That's not what I do. So, and I've seen a lot of clients, guys. And I've only had one that I was concerned about enough just to give them a crisis line. But that's what I would do. That's the other thing I would do. I'd give them a crisis line number and say, you might need a little bit more support than what I can give you. Because we do have, we have our boundaries too. We have to keep our own boundaries up. We have to make sure that we're in our scope and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would continue until I was comfortable enough to let them go, or I would call for help, but I haven't had to do that.
Hope that answered your question.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a thank you. Thank you, Nana, for joining us.
Yeah, welcome.
So also I've mentioned on one of our podcasts is in the summer where we had the what do you call it? They were digging the street down here, and I just crossed on a red light. Actually, there was nobody there, and the police was on the other side. He started yelling at me. He literally started yelling at me, and instantly I got out of myself and I was watching this, and I instantly connected with him. And I go, the poor man who's been standing there all day long. It was hot. It was in the sun for a long period of time. His feet might hurt. He might be hungry. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. but he found me as a channel to release the anger that, or the frustration that he had, and he released it. And all I did was stand there and I just acknowledged his pain. And I said, "You're absolutely right. I should have waited for the green light. You are doing your job, and I should have honored that." And that's all. And he continued screaming and yelling. And then at the end, he let me go. Well, he didn't do anything. He just let it out. And that was it.
Yeah.
Half an hour later, I was still walking, came back, and I see people crossing a red light. He didn't even bother talking to them. But it happened that his bucket was full.
Yeah.
And there comes the trigger. And whoop, it all came out. Now, if I was in a different space and I wanted to engage in that action reaction type of thing, it would have caused an issue at the end of the day for both of us. But I recognized his pain and I pulled back and I held the space. He let it all out. Thank you. And walked away. And that was the end of it.
Yeah. And that's, that is one of the things, one of the nicest things you can do for somebody is to just hold space. Doesn't mean you have to be their what do I want to say? Their punching bag. That's not holding space.
No.
There is a boundary there, right? But if they just need to be, we can just be and hold space for them, right? Just hold space. I'm here. I'm here. I love you. I'm sending you healing. If we can do that for each other, instead of getting angry with each other every time, isn't that a beautiful gift?
Absolutely. And it's just reminded me of another thing that Jen said on a call on one of our podcasts is you can bring them a glass of cold water.
Yeah.
Cold water changes the energy.
Mm-hmm. You notice I said I would go and get them water.
Yes, I missed it, but that was like, it reminded me now. It's just hand them a glass of cold water and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have to keep safe distance if they were acting in a violent way. But if just a person is just frustrated and you can feel it's just they just want to let it out.
And violence is another thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if somebody started getting violent with me, that's a whole nother story. That's really crossing a boundary. That's not okay. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, we all have our boundaries as to where we're comfortable with for that. And I don't think that anybody should be subjected to violence. Yeah. So that wouldn't be it. But if they're just very, very emotional, as well as a glass of water, I would also hand them a crystal, right? Something like lepidolite or amethyst, like my big amethyst that I had here. This one really is yelling at me today, so he's coming up to say hello. Amethyst is a great one for relaxation. Or even a blue calcite. Awesome for relaxation, right? Calming. So if they're really verbally, this can be a really good one. Helps to soothe the throat chakra. So, and I think, with a lot of that, yes, the crystals do adjust our vibration and everything, as does the water, but it's also about taking their focus away from whatever it is that's triggering them. Hand them a crystal and be like, here, this is blue calcite. It's great for this. And all of a sudden their brain is now thinking, blue calcite, cool. As opposed to, right? So,
and by the way, there's more info about those crystal on turtlelifestyle.ca.
Yeah.
There's a whole page or pages, I don't know. There's a lot of them.
We have a whole crystal directory on the page. So under resources, guys.
Mm-hmm. Do check it out because it does help. If there's something that you don't know about, please go over there and check it out. It's a good resource. It's a good resource. I checked that out this week or last week. Thank you. What is that? instead of Googling and trying to figure out who's right or wrong or what they're writing about, because sometimes you don't get the right information when you Google, at least you have the resource there. Just twillowlifestyle.ca and check them out.
Yep, under resources. Awesome.
So we're getting close to the hour.
Mhm.
How should we end the trigger night?
Trigger night. Remember that triggers are human.
Mm-hmm.
We all have them. We all deal with them. Show yourself and others compassion and love when they're triggered. Do the self-soothing, right? Whether it's go for a walk, whether it's meditate, whether it's hug your crystals or use your essential oils. Whatever your tools are, do your Ho'oponopono.
Mm-hmm.
4
Right.
phrases. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Hi, Ming.
Hey, Ming. Thank you.
Thanks for showing up. It's great.
Yeah.
Um, yep, the 4 phrases. Use those, right? But the biggest part of triggering is the self-reflection. Remember the mirror effect.
Yeah.
If you see it in someone else, work on it yourself before you have a reaction instead of a response.
Absolutely. And as we go through the next phase of change of in the Earth's vibration and moving into Aquarius, and things are going to be shifting, do realize when you start checking things will start to surface.
Yeah.
It is time for us to work on whatever comes out. Be compassionate to yourself.
Yeah.
Be loving to yourself. And that is a key in the work that we do. Because if you don't have that for yourself, you're not going to have it for anybody else. And you're going to drag it into somewhere else. Shem, how's it going?
Hi, Shem. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's about, you can do the Ho'oponopono in the mirror as well, because we need it just as much as if we're picturing somebody else. I know I've done it, and it can be tough too in the mirror, but amazing though when you do it. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. And when you do it and you send love to the other person and love to yourself, the energy vibration of whatever it is changes.
Mm-hmm.
And magically, it changes instantly.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. It helps you grow. It helps you heal. And as you work on yourself, you're healing your immediate circle and your outer circle. You start from your household all the way to your neighborhood, all the way to your work, your society. If every one of us did one thing tomorrow, the world is in a better place. Because no one could go change the world tomorrow. Nobody's a savior that's going to come and change the world. What we need to do is work on ourselves, and the world will change instantly. And I think we're passing through these times today, or not today, but we're passing through these times because we need to do those work.
Yeah.
The old paradigm doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And more you're going to see, and you see them now, people that are into this, into crystals, into energy healing, into working on ourselves, psychology, and so on, spirituality. There's more and more. It's like it's expanding. And not because it's the in thing. No, it is the outcome of what happened in the 60s, where the hippies brought all of these things into North America. And now it took what, 56, 70 years? And it started to expand. And that's exactly what is happening right now. That is exactly what is happening. And I think we should continue it because that's the only way to move forward, the only way to love ourselves And thank you, Karen, for joining us. And we are here for everybody. And any last word, Tanys?
Shem is asking about the blue crystal. It's blue calcite. Blue calcite. Very calming. Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you can find all these things on Twilio.
Twillowlifestyle.ca.
And more info about them, about all the crystals. And if you have any questions, you can find us. Because I need it. We all need it. Trust me.
I need it sometimes too. It's okay. Hi, Angie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Glad you found it helpful. And that brings us to the end of our hour. We're 101, which is awesome.
I do have one thing, quick thing to say. Please know, sometimes your triggers are past life triggers, not always this life. So just keep that in mind, okay? So if you're trying to get to the bottom of a trigger and you're not figuring out what it is, it may be that it's a past life thing. So just as a heads up. Hello, Estella.
Nice to see you, Estella. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Well, thank you for joining. It was an awesome evening. And like we mentioned, triggers are there to keep us on our toes and for us to do the work and be the loving, kind people that we all are. To flower that thing to flower from within us, because we have basically covered it for such a long time. Join us in 2 weeks' time. I don't have the topic yet. We don't have the topic, but we'll have it ready. And we'll see you in 2 Fridays. Thank you so much for joining, and have a pleasant evening.
Sending you lots of love, everyone.
Thank you.